Welcome everyone here. We can share the facilitating mirror if you like, or whoever.
I'll just let you facilitate from the county perspective.
Oh, okay, thank you. Again, welcome everyone. Thanks for all being here. This is part of the Houston County and City of National Falls Roundtable discussion meeting for December 11, 2023. We are at Bacchus here today. Thank you to Bacchus for hosting this event. We'll just jump into the agenda. Does everyone know everyone here?
Yeah.
Okay. No need for introductions.
So next time, do we get to go to the auditorium? Because we just keep getting a little bigger.
Yeah, this is really almost too far apart here. Obviously, some of the items are, we have two items on the agenda. Both of them are a big deal for our community and our county and our city. First of them being the airport, which is been funded jointly through the city and the county. And there's been some discussion of that funding mechanism changing to a certain extent. So that'll be some of the discussion that we have here today. And number two on the agenda is the ambulance. I think everybody knows about the ambulance issues, struggles, problems, a lack of funding. I understand it completely that it is a funding issue based on the Medicare reimbursement rates. I think that the service is a needed service. It's a great service. It's a very good service in our community, in our area. That gets our folks where they need to be, to that next level of care. And without that, we'd be in dire straits. We wouldn't have a very good community here without it.
So that's a long ways away.
Well, it is. We have a large county. We kind of are, if you call us the hub, we're kind of the hub with nothing north, you might call it. So we have everything that we do is here or a little bit south of here, and then everywhere we have to go is obviously south of here too. So some of those issues, and we, just for a little background for the public here, is we've had discussions at a steering committee level with entities from Rainier, International Falls, St. Louis County, and the county, and we have a lot of the work already done. We really don't have a long ways to go. There's a few loose ends maybe here and there. I think the rate, the numbers, all that stuff has kind of already been figured out. I think some of the community already understands what's going on with that, but I'll save that for the number two agenda when we get into that too. So, I mean, if anyone would like to kick off the airport, I think some of the funding struggles that the city and the county are having with that, and anyone want to share what's going on with that?
I think I made it relatively clear at the committee of the whole, everyone, that from the county side, I know that we've had plenty of discussion at the city council level, so we're in a position where we can't continue funding the airport moving forward. We understand how important it is. 100% we understand how important it is, but we can't at $4.5 million of our, $3.5 million of our net tax capacity continue to pay $350,000 a year for the airport. So that's part of the conversation, and we at our last meeting, you had asked me to say exactly what the city's asking for, and we are asking for an airport taxing district.
Anyone else?
I just want to concur with the mayor. I think the taxing district would be fair to everybody. I know there's some talk about farther west to here, maybe not so fair, but when we look at the big scheme of things in economic development, there's also people in the West County area that get some credit for or some advantage of what goes on in International Falls. Like the Bear, I believe it's good. I've used it myself. I'm glad to have it. We just got to find another way to fund it. Like you said, it's eating up such a chunk of our tax base that pretty soon, if we keep going at this rate, it's also we can do that, but then it's going to start eating into other things we got to do with town, like infrastructure and other public service things that we all think are important and want.
Anyone else? Anybody have any history on how long this agreement's been continued? I guess I'm not.
I have the current agreement is from 1997. I saw that. I mean, that's what it's dated, I believe. And times are different then too.
And then, but the history of the joint powers board and city county has been together for, what, I guess that's what my question is, how long have we been participating together with this?
Oh, I'm 60s.
We would have to look. We would have
I'm
to
guessing.
That goes way back,
60s, 50s, 60s.
long time.
Without knowing the actual date, I mean, that's something we can definitely research if necessary, but I don't know the answer to that.
Just a little history, that's
Yeah.
all.
And also about this isn't the first time this has come up, the funding of the airport. I've read a few things, heard a few things that it's like it come out of the blue. It has not come out. It came up about 10 years ago from a city councilor regarding a taxing district and how the airport is paid for. It kind of didn't go very far, but it's not the first time. We even had, is it Jeff Johnson, the president of, he's the president of the League of Minnesota Cities now, and he's on the airport commission in Bemidji. And this is exactly what they did, I don't know how many years ago, gotta be getting close to 20 anyhow. And they had the same type of organization set up like why you do a commission and funded the same way, and because of the same issues and problems in whatever region, that's what they've done. He came up, as I gave a presentation, and depending on what we do here, what we decide, if that was way, I'm sure you'd help us to set it up, and I don't know how much we got to, I don't even have to have a board and all that, but I don't think that part has to change for that setup.
Well, just this, early numbers, if that were to be the case, it'd be a 14% county levy increase to fund the airport to the tune of even to 700,000. I know that doesn't even include probably the larger projects, but it's considerable, a considerable amount of.
When you say the
funding.
17%, is that?
14%, actually.
14, okay, for the 14%, would
Yeah.
that be the entire 790,000 roughly?
I went 700,000, so that doesn't quite
700?
cover it.
So it would only be raising $300,000. 350,000 because that's the difference of
You
the
take away,
city.
yeah, you
So
take
it would be
away
about a
more.
7% increase, which is where the city is at right now for our portion.
But for the taxing district, it would be 14%.
Understood, but that would be able to come out of both the county and the city's taxes directly, so
Yes.
it would be spread differently, but the county would make up for it in one spot, the city would make up for it in another spot, and the entire group would end up paying it equally.
And then the city and the county would then be able to lower their levy,
Correct.
correct?
That would be the
working
one,
theory.
or find some stuff to spend this extra money on. No, yeah.
Yeah.
Or to be put into infrastructure, or put into other projects that are necessary, because I know you guys are having the same infrastructure issues as we are, with street, water, roads, same issues come up. But as I was sitting through your committee of the whole meeting, same conversations you guys were having about how expensive your transportation budget was going to be this year for roads and such. So it's the same thing. We're working on the same concerns.
Anyone else? Yeah, I think it's important to consider the partnership that's been there too, and the collaboration that we've had over the years with the legislators from the federal level to the state level, and that's some of my concern is how does that get funded and what does that look like? I think if it's going to go down the tubes because of this, I don't know if that would be the best thing to do.
No, it definitely wouldn't be the best thing to do then.
Well, no, it wouldn't.
You don't want to go down the tube at all.
Well,
That airport is important for this community.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the revenue that's fed into this community, and International Falls in particular, is probably tenfold of anywhere else in the county, obviously, because you have all the amenities that is needed to have business and promote business and stuff. So I think that's some of the things I have a little bit of a hard time with. I think in fairness to the benefit of this. I think it really truly does benefit the city. Now, obviously, whatever benefits the city benefits everyone, right? Because that all goes into the same old pot of money. But there's other discrepancies that kind of overall in the bigger picture of things when you look at it in everything kind of added together. There's things that I have personal issues with of being fair, equitably fair taxation wise and for the citizens too. So. And some of those we can discuss, at a later date when we get into the nitty gritty of this possibly happening. So
I have a question regarding what other municipalities do you guys have joint powers agreements with?
we have taxing districts with several, actually. We have joint powers with Ambulance Services Service Northholm. I think we have an informal agreement with Bearville for the fire department. We have a rural fire agreement for up the lake, obviously, which is a similar area of the ambulance taxing district. So there's some work that could be done perhaps together there. And then I believe we have something over in Birchill area. I think there's some collaboration with Lake of the Woods there. Just a small amount for an ambulance service fee there. And I think you guys have something for like Captoga and Ash River area with the ambulance. Kind of extends out and beyond there.
No, that's our service area, but that isn't, that's from the state. That has,
Is there any informal agreement with that?
no.
Oh, okay. I thought there was an informal agreement with
Um,
the mileage rate and things like that. So,
St. Louis County has a resolution that, or a ordinance in some capacity, I don't know how it words, but it's not with the city ambulance service. Anytime an ambulance leaves, they pay mileage.
right.
So we just happen to fall into that, but there's no formal agreement with the city and St. Louis County on that.
But I think the real root of the problem here is a reimbursement rate, and I think that's the solution, or at least part of the solution.
Well, that's on ambulance. I was just
Yeah,
asking
yeah.
what other joint powers agreements you guys have, because we don't have a joint powers agreement with the county with ambulance. I was talking specifically about airport.
Oh, yeah, no, we just have taxation districts, and that really, a joint powers agreement, I think we have one joint powers agreement with the airport right now, and there is a joint powers agreement, I should say, with Black Duck Ambulance as well. That's a kind of a 4-county joint powers agreement. And obviously, VNP Joint Powers Board, we have a kind of joint powers agreement with those, with some of the Clean Water Act up the lake there, and even in the whole basin, actually, all the way south to Crane Lake and beyond. So, yeah, we do have a few of them that are in place that work towards funding mostly on some of those things. Some of them obviously for services, the ambulance services and the fire services. That particular VNP Joint Powers Board is more of a funding mechanism to kind of get the awareness and clean water kind of teamed up with the VNP and the 2 counties that have basically the water basin that we're trying to protect. So yeah, that's one of the thoughts is throwing money at something doesn't always solve the problem. I mean, it's a temporary fix to a long-term problem. This
Are we talking about the airport still?
Well, we're still on agenda item number 1, so
Okay.
I believe that we're kind of I'm jumping ahead. Excuse
That's
me.
all right.
I just want to make sure that we're talking about the
Yeah,
specific
well-
issues that we're.
And I just want to say, we can say, yes, we all agree it's important, we can't let it go, and if we don't figure out. And if we decide, all right, we're gonna say this 50-50 contribution, something else is gonna take a hit. There's no doubt about it. There's, and one of them being, which is next on the list, the ambulance.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest, and we have the hub, we have most of the economic, we are the hub, this is where most of the people come, and all those people enjoy to come in from Little Fork and Ray and drive and buy the things that are here because we are here, but we gotta be here and be able to support a town, have those things for people to use.
Sure. Yeah.
I just want it clear that something's gonna have to give. That's all I'm saying. And if we, as a council, decide this is what we want to do with this group here, and I'm not saying we're not going to get anything worked out here. I'm not saying that either.
Sure.
I just think this isn't because we both sides can't keep going with raising levies, and I mean something's going to have to give, whether it's other services or whatever.
I'd like to see the city and county men in the bridge come together and work, because for years it's been kind of like this, away from each other. I'd like to see them come together And I'd like to see the airport commission stay, because I think it's important. And if it doesn't, then I think somebody like Thor Einerson should be able to come in and let us know what's going on with the airport all the time. But I'd like to see us both stay in the airport commission.
Well, Thor's supposed to be doing that at least once a year now.
Well, I like it more than once a year.
He
I'd like
doesn't
to have him come
he doesn't come in once a year.
so he could explain, because we only have 2 people on the council that sit on the airport commission. The rest of us that don't sit on the airport commission don't get any feedback.
Okay, 2 things.
Right? Is that right, or am I wrong?
You're right, but he doesn't come now. He's supposed to be coming now.
Well, maybe we should ask him to come. Ask him again.
Why do we need to ask him when he knows the agreement that he should come here and set up an
Well, we just got to sit down with him. I think Thor would come in and talk.
I'm sure he would.
Yeah.
No, he's been really good about that
Yeah.
with us here. He came in, Thor and Kyra both. I came and went through the line-by-line budget, through their budget and stuff there, and, short of having the contracts that I have not seen from the airport there, the budget, in my opinion, looked, fairly steady. I mean, you get your regular increases of obviously wages and insurances and things like that. So I think it's really normal type things in there. Some of the stuff I did not see is the contracts within that joint powers.
And once again, nobody's questioning the cost of what goes on out there.
Yeah.
Nobody's questioning the cost that's going on out there. That's how we pay for it.
Well,
And we all want to work together. That's why we're here. But every time I hear we got to work together, it always seems like the onus is on us, on the city. It's been that way since I started. But I like your thought, Mike. We need to work together, but we
Got to work together. This community needs to be.
Can I just say one thing, and I think that this is the elephant in the room that we have not had the discussion about. At the committee of the whole, Jason, you asked me if I understood how government works. And I've been thinking about that ever since that last meeting, and I do, I understand. And the thing of it is we are a municipality, we are a city. You are the next level of government, the county. We're asking for your help on a handful of issues. You guys have every right to say no, and we can accept that. But it seems like whenever we came to the county in the past, we've had discussions, but we've never had a concrete answer of yes or no. We're asking if we can have a taxing district for the airport. Ultimately, that's going to be a decision that the county board has to take up and make please involve us on the input, but you're the next level of government. We're asking for help in this situation. We're just hoping to get an answer. If the answer is yes or if the answer is no, we will then handle our business accordingly to however that works. We're more than willing to negotiate, have conversations, and work together. But you are above us in governmental units. It's the same thing with the ambulance. We're having a problem, and we understand that we can't continue to fund exactly where we're at, and so we're looking at all entities above us, which is the county, the state, and the federal government. We're just asking for help, and ultimately I think what we're asking for is an answer, one way or another, on the issues that we have. We're more than willing to negotiate, sit down, have conversations, provide input, but ultimately, because of the way that it works, you guys are you are the next level of government that we're asking for help from.
You put it like that. No, I understand that. No, all kidding aside, I really do. I think the ambulance is extremely important. I know I'm jumping ahead to this next summit here. It just that the timing of this is really difficult for us because we have huge commitments right now out in the community for a jail that we have to build, basically. And we have a levy that is quite high in order for us to be able to do that and compensate for that also. And we have also internal needs as well from departments that need to have that funding level brought up a bit due to inflation and other issues, right? So, but to me, the airport is important, but the ambulance is more important to me. I think we have to have, obviously we have to have an airport too, and one way or the other we have to do that, but I think the ambulance to me is extremely important. for our community especially. And I've always said this even at the steering committee, you know, we don't live within a half hour of a Duluth or of a Fargo or of a Bemidji. We live, you know, 2 hours from 2.5 hours from a Duluth or a Bemidji or 5 hours from a Fargo or a Minneapolis. You know, we have to have those transports to be able to give these folks the care that they need. So, I mean, I really think, and I can't speak for our whole board, we've had much discussion of this, you know, since our steering committee, and I think we are, again, can't speak for everyone, but I really feel like we have a good path going forward with some agreements on you know, funding some of this, you know. You know, again, like I say, I won't speak for anyone, but if anyone from our board wants to, you know, attest to that, certainly go ahead.
Yeah, I'm willing to work out something with the funding for the ambulance because it is important. You said before that there was the taxing district out there, they're not paying for a service, for the ambulance service. They pay for World Fire but not ambulance. So there's something could be done there as far as I'm concerned. But being new, right, here a year, most of the whole board's new. When I come into this last year, then, and I'm gonna jump on this a bit, but you guys pulled out of the LEC, so, and it's something to do with identity. So you pull out of that and move in here, and that's not helping us over there, and having both law enforcement under one roof is good. But not working together, you pulled out. So, and then 2 months ago, you're like taking legs out from me at the airport. So then I struggle with that too, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm willing to help. And if all that went to happen, I think the airport or the ambulance would have been easy for me to say, yes, we can, in my opinion, we can help.
So let me ask a quick question of the city administrator. Do we have a guesstimate timeline on when we're going to be hearing back from our facility study?
I'm hoping by the end of the year.
Okay, so that's what we've been holding off on. That was one of the issues, and I know that there is a bone of contention on the wording of what I have said in the past regarding the letter that we received. I'll be very clear, there was a dollar amount on it of $102,000, I believe it was, but that was for 2 years and asking for a commitment to a long-term lease. Without knowing what was happening at the jail, without knowing what anything looked like, because we had gotten a couple of renditions, not anything final, we didn't want to sign a long-term lease, so we were looking at trying to keep our costs low, be able to come over here, wait until the jail was finalized, figure out what that looks like, and we have said it, and I don't think that there's anyone on the board that is not open to having that discussion, but we're in two spots. You guys are getting ready to build a new law enforcement center. We're looking at our facility studies on what we have for needs as a community. Again, we're managing our budget the best we can, and you know, there's always decisions where somebody gets hurt. It was never our intention to hurt the county by taking away the $75,000 or the potential $102,000. It was just making sure that we were preparing ourselves for our future too. If there's a spot in the jail that makes sense for us, or not in the jail, that would be totally the wrong place, in the law enforcement center for our officers, and you know, our facility study shows that we can't build this, and this, and it makes sense, we don't want to be in Bacchus forever. That is absolutely the last thing we want. So if there's a space for us that makes sense there, and it makes more sense for us to go back to the law enforcement center rather than build or replace what we have, we're open to that conversation too. But again, just like you have to make the decisions that you have to make, we have to make the decisions. And the one piece of all of this that I will take a little bit of a hit on, I think myself and our city council with the airport came in late. We started the discussions earlier. I still believe fundamentally there is a problem on how late the budget for the airport gets to the city and county. If we got those earlier, we could have had that conversation earlier. So I do apologize. It is the best of my belief that the council will be funding the airport 100% this year. But as we move into next year, we wanted to have the conversation early. That's why we're doing this now. We would love to, however this works out, if we need to have one-on-one meetings, not necessarily council, but myself and Jason and the administrators, or something to just kind of have conversations moving forward to be able to bring to both committees, I'm okay with that. We're both doing exactly what our jobs are, is to look out for the best interests of our residents. So, but thank you, because that makes a ton of sense. And there was history when I first came on the board with that. I know that this is a little off subject, but after our committee of the whole, I had called Sean Mason. I had a conversation with her, and I just had asked, how was it when you were fighting with the county board? Because we got to a point where the city sued the county over a road. So this isn't new. There's been history in the past. I love the fact that we're having these meetings, because I'm as an open book. You ask me anything, I'm going to tell you what I know. I'm not here to fight. I'm only here to move forward. That's the reality of it.
So when we were trying to decide what we were going to do about the law enforcement center, it was a no-brainer to not go for it, because long-term, we had no idea what that was going to cost us long-term. And when I saw that there was nothing there for long-term, so we had an idea, I knew how I was going to vote. We weren't going to go in the law enforcement center. And it just worked out that we got a 2-year lease, but we're also, just like what we were talking about, doing a facility study, and I'm part of that. And so we're looking at that avenue too. But overall, we got to have a lot of discussion on that. Plus, getting back to the airport, I want to see. We got new people here on the county board. I want to see us mend the bridge, come together, and work together for the community. I have not seen that in the 40 years I've been here in International Falls, maybe 48 years now. I have not seen where the two sides would come to get county government and city government come together and work together. But I think there's people here sitting on the county board now that we could do that. I think we could sit down and I think we could work it out. It needs to be done. That business of fighting over the years and not coming together, we got to have more discussion. That's what this is all about.
Well, that's why we're here discussing.
Right.
And we're not, and I agree, and that's why we're here. And I've had a lot of people that have come up to me and appreciate us doing this for a change. I don't want this look, it's not so much fight, I guess it could end up being fighting, but we're not fighting now. We're just trying to work out a solution that can help for everybody.
Absolutely. It's a solution. It isn't arguing. If there's no movement forward, then there's no sense in talking about it. So,
And it's all just a start. Yeah.
We have movers and shakers here. So.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you saw me walking in? Well, that I don't have a brain. I found out on my bowl.
I do think we have passionate members here on both sides of the table here. And I think we defend our county, you defend your city well. So that is a good deal for the constituents, because they are getting their money's worth and their vote. So, and I think that too about our county board, even though we are fairly new. I think we have great, well-rounded people on there. So, is there any other discussion on the airport? Anybody like to say anything more about that? Well, we'll jump into the next item that we've been talking about already with the ambulance. So maybe if Mayor or the city, you want to kind of give us a rundown on what you're doing legislatively and how, kind of what we haven't really moved on anything. We have some discussions coming up here with our legislators in the first part of next year. Obviously, this will be one of our discussion items on our agenda for that, along with a couple other important issues for our area and region, but this is certainly one of these issues that I think regionally is an issue. I know it's an issue because of the regional meetings I go to, it is an issue across the northern half of the state. And every smaller rural county, we don't have townships, however, township counties that do have townships, St. Louis County, all these, they have townships here and there, they're sprinkled throughout their counties, they're having the very same issue. Just funding, staff, training, things like this here. So I think that's some of the issues that we already all know about. Like I say, we do have a lot of history already with the steering committee that we've shared with our board and beyond. And we can, again, continue those discussions at whenever we'd like to get going on those and kind of get some wheels turning on that, and get some movement on a decision, I think, through our board. I don't know if our board's necessarily comfortable maybe looking at more information, but I think they've had similar conversations with the public about this ambulance, saying that, you know what, this is something that we do need, and that is fair and equitable for the cost of what's being requested. So I think some of the details within that would be some of the things that I think we have a few questions on, minor changes perhaps, to get to that point where we can make a decision within the timelines that we need to too. So, I mean, I understand. I know, obviously I've worked there, I've talked to the mechanic, about the ambulance. They have hundreds of thousands of miles on them. They're not easy to get. They're a couple of years out, I heard, and their price just keeps going up. So, and there is no end to it. So, but certainly anyone speak up if they.
I've talked to plenty of people out in the community, and they've all said that they're willing to do a $60 taxing district for the ambulance, just to keep it funded. Or we could run that through, my idea is we could run it through the fire department. Same thing through the rural fire department. When it's on the rural fire department, we send them their bill for the $90, add $60 more to it, so it's $150. We split that up between the ambulance and the fire department.
Do we know that service area is the same?
Very close.
I would
very
guess
close.
it's got to be close, but I was just curious if it was.
Very close.
When we were talking on this committee, Jason, this $60 isn't just for rural. It's for all city residents too, because the city does not own the ambulance service. We just run the ambulance service. So it would also include, Ricky, all the households within the city limits also at $60, not just the fire district.
Well, there could be, forgive me, but there could be discussions on what the future of this looks like as well. I think moving forward, I think, if you're looking at having these districts be melded together, they should be identical, and they could be identical, and kind of just move forward as a one fee fire and ambulance type of deal, so there isn't maybe that separation, so you call them emergency services or whatever you want to call it. I know we've had some deeper discussions.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that would be feasible due to the way fire service is classified as an essential service through the state of Minnesota, where ambulance service as of right now are not. So that's a distinction that you'd have to really cautiously work around. Not that I don't know that it can or can't be done, but it's definitely a distinction that you'd have to think about and work around.
Thank you. Good point. That is very true. I think that's one of the issues. One of the things we could actually work on as a group too is looking at that classification of essential services to open up a funding mechanism from said state to increase perhaps some of these mileage rates through the MSRB. And I know you all know probably way more about it than I do, but I think that's a definite step in the right direction as well, and something that we can work on together as a team, I think, too, moving forward. And this is what we will discuss too with our meeting with our legislators, same legislators that you meet with. Our message is going to be, at least the message I would suggest that it be, is we need to look at this essential service classification, and we also need to look at the MSRB reimbursement rates, and we also need to look at the federal report to get the Medicare reimbursement rate increase, or have some type of super rural mileage. And we all know what that needs to be. It's just you can talk about it and it would fix the problem, but it takes years to get there. So,
and you can, just as an example for us, like I say, we're all in the same situation, right? Regionally, and the ones who were at the meeting or read probably saw yourself. Nashwauk they literally said either we got to change or find someone to do our business, or we're going to give up our ambulance certificate or whatever they call it. They won't have one. And as bad as a business model this is, Essentia Health said, no, we don't want this under no circumstances. And they're already running an ambulance in Buell, which is basically next door, but they're not gonna take over the,
It's like 9 miles up the road.
yeah, something like that, but that just explains the,
The initial question that you had asked was, what is the city doing right now? And I have sent out an email to the aides of Senator Klobuchar's office, Senator Smith's office, and Representative Stopper's office, specifically looking at Medicare, Medicaid, reimbursements, mileage rates going up, or just trying to, at this point, the federal level is beyond my knowledge base. I just know that as messed up as it sounds, we need more. It doesn't cover our cost. The study that came out from the EMSRB shows that every time we take one of those runs, we're losing $35 to $400 and some dollars. So, we need more from that. So we're looking at the federal level on that. At the state level, yes, if we could get a funding mechanism to go into the LGA formula of having that essential service, that would be fantastic. If there was another form of funding mechanism, that would be good as well. But to be completely transparent, what I would like to see happen is if the state is dictating that we have to serve 900 square miles, and we're going to different municipalities and governmental units, I think that what I'm going to be asking for from the state is for the providing unit to be able to negotiate with said entities for service. So there would be no need for an ambulance taxing district. The city could go to the county and say, we have this many square miles, this is what we would like to charge for this, and we negotiate with the governmental units. Same thing with Rainier, same thing with St. Louis County for the service area that they have. That's what I believe would be the best, because that puts it back to the unit that has the business. So that's what I would be calling for, but any way that we can work with the state, I am more than willing to do so. I have been in contact with Senator Housechild, myself, and Chief Manassa will be testifying in front of the House Committee in, not Grand Rapids, Mountain Iron on Wednesday this week. I have provided additional information to those folks on where we're at. And I have, Senator Housechild has came and spoke with us directly on the situation. I have reached out multiple times to Representative Scarava. I have not been able to confirm a meeting where we can have that discussion. But that's where we're at, and again, we're working with our local unit of government to try to, so we're going from the top down to try to solve this issue. We're not putting the blame on any one entity, but we are asking help from the bottom up.
and talking about like the rural fire or whatever, well, that's kind of what we'd be starting with under
Yep.
the taxing district plan if it comes together.
Okay.
Any other thoughts?
The only thing about if we were to work through a taxing district, which I do like what with the fire combining those two, my big concern as we've had all of these discussions is when you have an entity that would want to opt out. And that was one of the big concerns that we had if, and I have to put them on the spot only because of the conversation. If Rainier did not want to get into a ambulance taxing district, we would still have to service that area. So I really like the idea of fire numbers, because we do service those fire numbers out there. So that is a way of getting around that. And what I do think is interesting is when we had our town hall, the conversation about we have maybe 30 fires a year, we have hundreds of calls for ambulance. You're more likely to have an ambulance call than a fire truck. So I do appreciate the conversations that we're having.
Yeah, I think we can do whatever to carve around, whatever entity, if there's negotiation stall or something like that. Like I say, I can't speak for them. I respect their wishes with the resolution and, some of their thoughts behind that. However, I think too, just to service the constituents that we do have in the areas that we do have them within the ambulance acting district, because to me, it's extremely important to be able to do that. And, again, we live where we live for a reason, and we are very rural, and we do need that. We do need that help when we need it. So it would not be good if we had to wait for 2 hours to get an ambulance to come get us from wherever. So, and I say that with lots of thought too, because I've had the privilege of riding in it, I've had the privilege of family members riding in it.
Right, yeah.
So you think about what the service is, and you think about your family members, no matter what age they are, and that service that you do provide. That's extremely important. So I think that's something. But at the same time, we can, depending on how this rolls out, we can kind of carve around certain areas very easily within that, and it can be negotiated separately or however it needs to be.
Yeah, separately or levels of service you get, stuff like that.
Has there been any talks of convening a meeting for this with the entities that were involved in the past? Or would you like me to set something up? We can kind of get this ball rolling.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Has there been any talks from on the city side to any of the entities that were involved in this area, steering committee?
Not in the recent,
Okay.
not recently, no.
Because we had a recent commitment from our board to appoint a couple of people, myself and Commissioner Roach will be the 2 people on that board. And like I said, we have all the information. It hasn't changed. There's really not much added, maybe a couple more numbers here and there. And if we want to reach out to those entities again, we can certainly do that and try to get a meeting date in early January.
Well, yeah, we got it. Yeah, the sooner the better.
That'll be done by June 1st if we're gonna do it for taxing district.
Yeah, there's some timelines there, but I think we can work with what we got here with the time.
Yeah,
we have.
we're working.
We're getting,
We were close.
We're very close, honestly. We're very close. We have to have a public meeting, certainly. And then obviously we'd like to work with, and we don't necessarily have to involve the rural fair at this point in time, but it makes sense to go out on one bill to collect, just save it on postage, and it's $3,000 or $4,000 in postage probably for all that. So, and then that would be the collection, and then the taxation. On the taxation, if it isn't received, it would just go on the annual property tax. So similar to the rural fair, I believe.
In the event that we're that close, I mean, I know that you can't predict, but if we were to sit down and have a handful of meetings and the county is willing to move forward with the fire district area, I mean, what do you guys need on your end to allow that to happen time-wise? I don't understand that piece of it.
I think similar to what you guys would do. I think we would have a resolution to have a public meeting to have input. I think we could obviously, we'd maybe have to have a meeting prior to that to finalize any other discussion, maybe 1 or 2, quick tight meetings to discuss some of the issues questions or issues that we may have amongst us. I think after that, we could set a time to have a resolution to move forward with public meeting. Set the public meeting. I think we have probably a month timeline, 2-week, 3-week month timeline for that public meeting. Obviously, have the public meeting. We can have the decision after the public meeting, after public input. I know you've already had your public forum, kind of. I think that, I couldn't be there. I was at another meeting, but I think Commissioner Roach attended that, which he kind of filled me in and briefed me on what was going on. It sounded like it was very good, and people are very understanding. So I think that really the timeline, tentatively, we only have a couple of meetings left this year, but we can technically do a resolution towards the end of this year or first part of January. And we can pull a meeting, special meeting too, if we need to, in the first week of January. Too.
And so then it would be on their 2020. Well, you know what?
Let's not.
I don't want to.
If we're moving ahead
Absolutely.
like this, we don't need to get too caught.
I agree.
I mean, the sooner the better would be June, but if it's another
Yeah.
whatever, but I think the committee probably, that you had, probably needs to meet, just to get everybody back up to speed, right?
Yep.
And maybe right after because let's face it, tough time of the year to start having any more meeting, after the first of the year,
Well, yeah, we could maybe squeak one in here in the next couple of weeks. We can put our meeting deal here in maybe in 2 weeks.
Okay, well, that's up to you.
Yeah, I think we all have so much time that we can do that.
Yeah.
Well, and if it makes sense, I can have, appoint the same folks that were on our board. Actually, we've never unappointed anyone, so I do have Walt, and I believe Chief Manassa is on there. So we're already set, if we come up with a meeting time, we would just have to contact Rainier and St. Louis County to find out who their reps are, because we already have some set.
Yeah, I think we're good with St. Louis. If Commissioner McDonald his schedule is quite busy, but he'd be a good advocate there to have on there. And we could also have perhaps a guest speaker from the commissioner that I mentioned from Lake County, but I believe is on a regional task force for this ambulance situation. So I don't know if there's much to update, but I think he has a good history of information that he can share with all of us. So I'll see if I can't reach out to him.
Mike was on there from Rainier.
Yes, Mike, welcome. Yeah.
Welcome.
And we'll contact Cheryl from in here and get their take on who they would like, if they'd like someone to sit there and kind of give them some meeting dates here in the next couple, 3 weeks. And then just kind of go from there. And on our end, I think what we'll do here is we'll talk with our tax coordinator, see what kind of timeline that they have there in that office, get this done. I know that they'd like to have it earlier the better also, just because it gives them more time to set everything up. So, and then we also would have to, and I don't necessarily think we necessarily have to go with the fire route rate this second, but in the future to streamline it a little bit, that might be a good way to consider it, I think, just to kind of combine those if it's possible, or if they're willing. I think that would make good sense.
And I think, I agree how, I shouldn't say, the important part is to get the agreement that we're close to, then fine tune and figure out how it's gonna come together, and that's a good start, the rural fire.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, and if we have to have that future discussion, we have to pay $3,500 for postage. Well, that's the way it is so far. But this also has to be managed by someone too. I think it's quite a task to kind of go through all these deals. So if it was on one, it might be much simpler just to say, hey, here you go. And I think we could figure that out at the county there and get that where we need to. So, but anyone else have thoughts? Well, again, we filled up our hour here, so I appreciate everyone. If no one has anything else, we had a good discussion, and I think I feel good about moving forward, one step at a time. I think moving forward with this year, and just take one bite of that elephant at a time. Eventually, it'll
Right,
get done. So
and one of the few things about it too is that, it doesn't really fix the problem long term, right? It's like a Band-Aid, but you need a Band-Aid before you can get stitches, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So this can get us to where hopefully we can get more funding that can work something out.
yeah, I think so. I think this is just a kind of a motivation to kind of move this forward as best we can too. And on our part, obviously too, I think it's an issue across the state.
Yeah. Well,
Everybody knows that it is, and I think just moving forward will be a good thing. So.
And I think to promote it, I think if you look at it in perspective, it's going to cost you maybe about $1.25 a week to continue the ambulance service at the ALS service versus the BLS. That's, who doesn't have $1.25 a week that they could put in for that, So it's just some kind of a comparison.
It's very reasonable. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, I paid $90 for a rural fire for many years, and I don't necessarily pay it for myself. I also pay it for the neighbors, the trees, the property, surrounding that area too. So it's not just for myself. It's so they can actually have the resources they need to get up there and take care of what they need to get up. So, anybody has anything else? All right, well, thank you all, and do we want to look at a future meeting date for this?
Yes, please.
Maybe to meet, if this day works, we could convene either the 2nd or looks like the second or maybe the third Monday of next month. I think Martin Luther King, if that's an issue for anyone, we can skip that Monday.
I would be fine with January 9th or 16th, doesn't matter to me either one.
That's a Tuesday.
I understand that the 1st and the 8th are both holidays, or am I?
That's true, the first is.
Oh, I'm sorry, the 8th, the 16th, the 15th is, I'm sorry. Yeah, the 8th is fine by me, absolutely.
Same time.
Same time, same place if we can?
Okay.
Okay, all right, sounds good. We will reconvene on January 8th at 10 a.m.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you.